This game has no right to be as good as it is. For those of you who don't know, Stray is a game about a cat. Meow, meow. And you get to play as the cat. You can sleep and drink water and scratch this couch. I swear, it's way more fun than it sounds. An undisclosed amount of time in the future, the surface of the Earth has become uninhabitable for, reasons. It's heavily implied to be a massive amount of pollution. No longer able to live on the planet's surface, the remnants of humanity have retreated to a hidden city within a massive bunker. What should have been a fresh start for the human race quickly took a dark turn, as humanity failed to learn from its mistakes. History threatened to repeat itself as humanity continued to make the same blunders that had led them to the bunker in the first place. Pollution, class disparity, and poverty ran rampant within the bunker, and eventually, humanity wiped themselves out for a second and final time. Millions of years later, life has returned to the surface of the Earth, but humanity is not around to see it. In the time following humanity's extinction, their robot companions took over the bunker. Living in their homes, working at their jobs, hanging out in their bars, the robots have effectively replaced humanity and have chosen to live their lives as if they themselves were now human. Whether they are attempting to pay homage to their creators or simply following their programming is unknown, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is that the bunker's new residents have grown discontent. After spending millions of years in darkness, they long to see the sun. And their best bet for turning this dream into reality is a singular stray cat. As a creature from the outside world, this stupid litter box baby serves as proof that life can exist outside the bunker. He shines as a beacon of hope in the eternal darkness of humanity's last refuge. Also, he kinda looks like Garfield. Makes you wonder who his parents are. I'm just saying. While Stray's story is truly something to behold, its best feature is easily its level design. Each area is incredible, especially on a visual level. The environments are all beautiful and incredibly diverse. The game will lead you through a massive system of walls being reclaimed by nature, across the crumbling rooftops of a decaying city, through the infested sewer system littered with monsters, into the Shy Guy village from Mario Kart 8, and, Los Angeles. And Los Angeles a second time. Okay, bad example, but you get the point. Every level is super intricately designed and they all play off of the fact that you are a cat. The level design, more than anything else, proves that the playable character being a cat is more than just a gimmick. It's super interesting how being a cat instead of, well, you know, an ordinary human, recontextualizes every aspect of your surroundings. What would be an ordinary part of the environment to one species becomes a massive obstacle to the other. There are tons of hidden areas and alternate routes that only a small animal can get to. And conversely, there are a bunch of routes that you can't take because they simply aren't built with cats in mind. Like, look at these ladders. A cat can't climb ladders, you dumbass. He has too many legs. He has to parkour the long way around. Right, the parkour. Stray was mainly advertised as a walking simulator and heavily implied to be a puzzle game, but it's more 3D platformer than anything. The majority of the gameplay finds you jumping from windowsill to windowsill, scaling the sides of buildings and walking across rain gutters. I know I said it before, but it really is interesting how being a cat recontextualizes every aspect of your environment. The traditionally unimportant and forgettable backgrounds of other city-based games have instead become platforming challenges crucial to reaching the end of Stray. The platforming is very nimble and has this makeshift, almost improvisational feel to it that causes the gameplay to feel more like parkour rather than traditional platforming. It adds a lot in terms of making the gameplay loop feel unique and makes exploration way more engaging than it is in a lot of other games. That's not to say that Stray isn't also a solid puzzle game or cat simulator. Stray spends a lot of time providing you with stereotypical cat activities, and there are a ton of strong environmental puzzles, many of which are surprisingly difficult. A lot of the game's puzzles end up taking some serious time to complete, but there are none that actively require any kind of walkthrough. It's very rare that a game's puzzles manage to hit that sweet spot between way too simple and unreasonably convoluted, but Stray makes that metaphorical tightrope walk look easy. It also makes literal tightrope walks look easy. It's also very important to point out that nearly every puzzle makes sense from a real-world logic perspective, and they all fit into the environment and narrative of the game perfectly. This is also a very rare achievement. And speaking of rare achievements, I got the sleeping one. What did you do today? The standout level, both in terms of visuals and gameplay, is easily the prison level. It is a shining example of everything we've talked about so far. Well-designed puzzles, engaging platforming, creative visuals, visuals despite the generic theme, and most importantly, it is the epitome of the environmental recontextualization we discussed earlier. Near the end of the game, Discount Hello Kitty gets captured and thrown in prison. The prison is very intricately designed and clearly thought to be inescapable. Unfortunately for the prison guards, it just wasn't designed to hold cats. Stray, I'm calling him Stray now, can crawl between the bars or jump over the lasers or climb out of the windows. It's not a question of if he will escape, only a question of when. This level, more than any other, shows exactly why only a cat could save this world. It's also the only level where you are actively assisted by one of the humanoid robots, proving once and for all that when robots, cats, and humans work together, they make an unstoppable team. There's also a ton of neat little collectibles like the memories or the pins or these music sheets. In most games I sort of ignore the collectibles. I might grab the first few, but unless they're actively required for progression, I tend to abandon them pretty early on. Stray is the only game I have ever played where I nabbed every single collectible. Of course, in Mario Odyssey, I was only one moon short of 100%, but that's besides the point. Exploration was just so much fun in Stray that I couldn't help but collect everything. Stray is a 5-hour game, but my save file ended up being closer to 8 hours because even after nabbing all the collectibles in each area, I couldn't help but keep exploring. I honestly kind of wish there were more collectibles, and that is something I have never said before. Midtown in particular could really use something similar to the flowers from Ant Village or the music sheets in the slums. Without this extra collectible, Midtown feels a little empty when compared to the other levels. Like, I know it has memories and badges, but it doesn't have a unique collectible to call its own. Of course, this isn't my only complaint. I also think that the ending was a bit weak. There's nothing wrong with it in of itself, but when compared to the rest of the game, that final level and ending cutscene were a bit disappointing. But that's it. I really only have 2 complaints, and one of them is about a side quest. That's how good this game is. I can't even come up with something genuinely negative to say about it, and I'm a bitch! 9 out of 10. Cat game go brrrr. Also, I just realized that this is the highest rating I've ever given a game on camera. I mean, that's kind of funny, right? Okay. Last thing, I promise. The day that Stray came out, I saw this post on Twitter that was like, the kids already had their fun, and then a picture of Elden Ring, and then it was like, now it's the men's turn, and then a picture of Stray. And I feel like I just have to say, I have played nearly every release of 2022, but I haven't touched Elden Ring at all. It just simply doesn't interest me in the slightest. But Stray, on the other hand, is on track to becoming my game of the year. So this is not just some meme. This is my life. Do with that information what you will. Personally, I would prefer if you cried about it. Bitch.